When there's a breakup, it's exceedingly hard, especially if the person is young. Why? Because the relationship represents the whole future. They know there are other people, but it sort of feels like the whole world is shutting down. The brain has to accept that the person is gone in time and space. This has become much harder with social media, right? Because people can check up on others. In the old days, like when I was growing up, you just took the phone off the hook or diverted your attention. Now, we are constantly reminded that the person is still there. Love, the loss of love, and grief are virtually identical. It's that motivational state. This is why it's so hard not to reach out to somebody that you really miss and want back. I saw a study last week where researchers asked participants to rate the emotional and physical pain of a breakup. They found that women tend to be more negatively affected by breakups, reporting high levels of both physical and emotional pain. But while breakups hit women the hardest, they tended to recover more fully. Men, on the other hand, rarely fully recover. I thought that was very interesting, though I wasn't too sure what that meant. Yeah, it's interesting. It also rings true with my experience and observations. This could relate to a number of things, and here I'm painting with a broad brush. How comfortable one feels expressing their emotions, whether male or female, strongly dictates how quickly one moves through grief. This is the same as trauma. The more willing someone is to feel the full depth and intensity of their emotions associated with that trauma, the more quickly they will move through it. Again, I'm lifting from Paul Katai's words, so these aren't mine. People use various strategies. They distract themselves, sublimate their feelings to anger, and avoid the traumatic feelings or the feelings from a breakup. People will try to self-soothe with alcohol or multiple new partners, but that doesn't work. It just extends the pain. This map of space, time, and closeness needs to be restructured, and the only way to do that is for the brain to confront the reality that, by breaking up, the person is no longer available. It's like the food on the other side of that wall is gone. It's just not there anymore. Or the food that was accessible is now separated by a wall, and you will not get through it. You can see this in animal studies, which can be hard to watch. Animals will perseverate, literally damaging their own bodies trying to get through a barrier to something they are highly motivated to reach. People do that post-breakup. They usually do this by talking to everyone about the breakup, which is its own form of perseveration. What did I do? What did I do wrong? Some of that analysis is healthy, while some is not. Now, why would one group be more effective at dealing with breakups? It's probably because of their ability to feel the full intensity of their sadness and confront it. From a very early age, there's an ability, at least I'm sure it transcends to women too, to learn to pack down feelings. When we talk about packing down feelings, I'm not a psychologist, but what we learn is top-down control from the brain to autonomic control. It's like saying, I don't want to jump off the high dive, or I don't want to do this public speaking, but I'm going to force myself. I'm going to David Goggins it. Grief is an autonomic state. We say it has a veil of negativity. Valence refers to high levels of autonomic arousal with a negative connotation. You can have high levels of autonomic arousal associated with happiness, right? You can be very alert and aroused while happy, or very alert and aroused while sad. Yet we learn how to tamp that down. What is tamping down? It's reducing our heart rate and functioning each day as a normal human being. There's a lot of that, rather than allowing ourselves to sob uncontrollably into a pillow. Some people are better at this. I mean, the late Steve Jobs was a big proponent of scream therapy. He used to go up into the hills behind Stanford. He actually still owns property there, believing that a cathartic release of his internal state would allow him to return as a happier, nicer person. He was also known for screaming at people in the office, so he obviously had a lot pent up inside. I think the better we can lean into the emotional states we fear the most, in a controlled way where we're not harming ourselves or others, the better. The more we try to avoid those emotions and sublimate them. I've done this, so I'm speaking from experience. I would use the anger or sadness from an experience to work 10 times longer and harder just to gain more focus. You take that autonomic arousal, that narrow aperture of energy, and channel it into something that moves your life forward. In some cases, that's good because you still need to function. But it can give you the illusion that you're working through something because you reap all the rewards of hard work. However, you don't actually remap that space-time closeness map. Then you might find yourself 5 or 10 years later wondering why you're so exhausted or why certain aspects of life aren't going well. It's because, as they say, you haven't dealt with the loss. You never actually allowed yourself to feel the feelings. But once you do, it's like a valve releases.